In this podcast episode, comedian Rob Schneider shares his thoughts on the recent political landscape in America, particularly focusing on the election results and the implications for the future. Schneider, known for his candid and often humorous takes on serious issues, dives into various subjects that reflect his views on politics, society, and the entertainment industry. Schneider begins by expressing his excitement over the recent election results, describing it as a significant achievement for the Republican Party and a rebuke of what he perceives as authoritarianism from the left. He argues that the Democrats have strayed too far from the values of the American people, leading to a disconnect that ultimately contributed to their electoral losses. Schneider believes that the election results signify a shift in the political landscape, where the voices of everyday Americans are finally being heard. He emphasizes that the support for Donald Trump came from diverse communities, including Black men and Hispanics, countering the narrative that Trump is a racist. Schneider points out that the left's accusations of racism against Trump are ironic, given the demographic support he received. This, he argues, highlights a deeper issue within the Democratic Party, which he believes has alienated significant portions of the electorate. Schneider critiques the Democratic Party for what he sees as a failure to address the needs of the American people. He argues that the party has become increasingly elitist, focusing on policies that do not resonate with the average citizen. He recalls instances where Democratic leaders, such as Kamala Harris, have failed to support legislation that would benefit the public, such as laws aimed at prosecuting shoplifting. Schneider believes that this disconnect has led to a loss of trust in the party and its ability to govern effectively. He also discusses the Democrats' approach to issues like immigration and crime, suggesting that their policies have contributed to a sense of chaos and insecurity in society. Schneider argues that the party's reluctance to address these issues head-on has left many Americans feeling vulnerable and unsupported. He believes that the Republican Party now has an opportunity to step in and offer solutions that resonate with the public. As a comedian, Schneider reflects on the role of humor in politics and how it has evolved over the years. He notes that comedy used to be a space where political figures could be critiqued without fear of backlash. However, he observes that the current climate has made it increasingly difficult for comedians to express dissenting opinions, particularly against Democratic leaders. Schneider laments the loss of comedic freedom, arguing that humor should be a tool for challenging power, not a means of reinforcing it. He shares anecdotes from his time on Saturday Night Live, highlighting how the show used to tackle political issues with a sense of irreverence. Schneider believes that the current late-night landscape has become too one-sided, with comedians often afraid to critique the left. He argues that this lack of balance diminishes the effectiveness of comedy as a form of social commentary. Schneider's views on medical freedom emerge as a significant theme in the conversation. He expresses skepticism about the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, referring to it as a scamdemic. He argues that the response to the pandemic was driven by fear and misinformation, leading to policies that he believes were more harmful than beneficial. Schneider emphasizes the importance of individual choice in health matters, advocating for a more evidence-based approach to medical interventions. He discusses the implications of vaccine mandates and the impact they have had on personal freedoms. Schneider believes that the government should not dictate health choices to individuals, arguing that people should have the right to make informed decisions about their own bodies. He expresses concern about the long-term effects of the pandemic response on society and the erosion of trust in public health institutions. The conversation shifts to the influence of big pharmaceutical companies on public health policy. Schneider argues that the pharmaceutical industry wields too much power in shaping health regulations and policies. He points out that the financial interests of these companies often take precedence over the well-being of the public. Schneider believes that this dynamic has led to a lack of accountability and transparency in the healthcare system. He shares his concerns about the revolving door between government agencies and the pharmaceutical industry, suggesting that this relationship undermines the integrity of health policies. Schneider advocates for reforms that would prioritize the health of citizens over corporate profits, emphasizing the need for a more equitable healthcare system. Looking ahead, Schneider expresses optimism about the future of the Republican Party under Trump's leadership. He believes that Trump has the potential to enact meaningful change and address the concerns of the American people. Schneider argues that Trump's victory provides an opportunity for the party to redefine itself and move away from the extremes that have characterized recent years. He emphasizes the importance of unity within the party, urging Republicans to focus on common goals rather than internal divisions. Schneider believes that a cohesive Republican Party can effectively challenge the Democratic establishment and offer viable solutions to pressing issues facing the nation. Free speech emerges as a central theme in Schneider's discussion. He argues that the current political climate has stifled open dialogue and debate, particularly in the entertainment industry. Schneider believes that the ability to express differing opinions is essential for a healthy democracy. He emphasizes the need for individuals to feel free to speak their minds without fear of retribution. Schneider reflects on the role of social media in shaping public discourse, noting that platforms like Twitter have become battlegrounds for free speech. He argues that the suppression of dissenting voices undermines the very foundation of democracy. Schneider advocates for a return to a culture of open dialogue where individuals can engage in meaningful conversations without fear of being silenced. Throughout the conversation, Schneider highlights the disconnect between political elites and the average American. He argues that many politicians and celebrities live in a bubble, insulated from the realities faced by everyday people. Schneider believes that this disconnect has contributed to a growing sense of frustration and disillusionment among the public. He shares anecdotes about the lavish lifestyles of Hollywood elites, contrasting them with the struggles faced by ordinary citizens. Schneider argues that this disparity creates a chasm between the two groups, making it difficult for politicians to understand the needs and concerns of their constituents. He calls for greater empathy and understanding from those in power, urging them to listen to the voices of the people they represent. As the conversation draws to a close, Schneider reflects on the future of comedy in a changing political landscape. He expresses hope that comedians will reclaim their role as social commentators and challenge the status quo. Schneider believes that humor has the power to bring people together and foster understanding, even in divisive times. He encourages comedians to embrace their unique perspectives and use their platforms to address important issues. Schneider argues that the best comedy comes from a place of authenticity and a willingness to tackle difficult subjects. He believes that as the political climate evolves, so too will the landscape of comedy, leading to a resurgence of creativity and innovation. Schneider also discusses the role of the media in shaping public perception and discourse. He argues that mainstream media has become increasingly biased, often prioritizing sensationalism over objective reporting. Schneider believes that this trend has contributed to a polarized society where individuals are more likely to consume information that reinforces their existing beliefs. He calls for a return to journalistic integrity, emphasizing the importance of unbiased reporting in fostering informed public discourse. Schneider believes that the media has a responsibility to provide accurate information and hold those in power accountable. He urges consumers to seek out diverse sources of information and critically evaluate the narratives presented to them.